Hello my friends and welcome to the channel. Had some interesting conversations on the weekend with some relatives who are fairly anti-EV. When I brought up EVs, they got very emotionally affected and kind of shut down. Sort of really said, basically, I can't handle change. And that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people in life struggle with change. And right now there is more change going on than any other period in history. It's actually a true fact. It's been proven. So many people are struggling with the concept of change. Even if they're aware of the fact that things are changing quickly, they still can't emotionally handle it. What I find interesting is if you look at the comments section on this channel and other channels like this channel, you'll see that most of the people there, in fact, a large percentage of the comments here are quite intelligent observations. They're from people who clearly have the ability to analytically analyze something without letting their emotions dictate their response. Be able to listen to what somebody says and actually work out, does that make logical sense? So if you're one of those people who is unable to do that, if your emotions rule your decision making, if your fear of change prevents you from seeing logic, this is probably not the right channel for you. Probably best to move on to some sort of fan page somewhere where you can get confirmation bias. Everything can be told to you that you want to hear. You can feel comfortable, even though reality is things are not going to turn out in the way that you're being preached to. On this channel, I try to talk facts. I try to talk about maths and how the reality is renewable energy, electric cars, electric everything, how that is going to change the world very, very quickly. Now, there's an interesting small car called the Renault 5, and I believe the Renault 5 will play a huge part in the world's transition to EVs, which is going to happen way quicker than what you think. Way, way, way quicker than what, well, if you're watching this channel and you're subscribed, you know it's going to happen quick. But if you're new, then I'm telling you, it's going to be way quicker than you think, and it's all going to be over and done with by 2030. Even in spite of the people that I talked to on the weekend who are afraid of change, doesn't matter how they feel. What matters are the facts. Now, Renault's new Renault 5 is kind of like a super mini. It's a small car. Probably will have a similar interior size to something like a Toyota Corolla, which actually has a fairly small interior considering its external dimensions, but that's common for petrol and diesel powered vehicles to have impractically, strangely large-sized bodies and small interiors. Typically, that's one of the benefits of EVs. Excellent packaging, much better packaging. It allows the boot to usually be very short, and often most EVs have very short overhangs, allowing the actual passenger space, the actual size of the car where the interior is, to be much larger than petrol and diesel counterparts. So one of the things I've noticed is with a lot of EVs, they have a frunk, which means the front bonnet actually opens up and there's some storage space in there. Or if they don't, it's often because that front bonnet is shortened down. If you look at something like a Mazda 3 hatch, has an enormous bonnet. The bonnet's almost as long as the actual car itself. There's many cars like that. BMW iX3, bizarrely, one of the very few full EVs on the market, which has a very, very long bonnet, very impractical. Look at something like the BYD EA1 or the Tesla Cybertruck to see how the packaging can really change to enable a car with relatively small dimensions. Obviously, the Cybertruck doesn't have small dimensions, but the EA1 does, to have a lot of internal space. Now, Renault's new mass market electric car will slash the electric vehicle prices by at least 50% based on what is currently in the market in this segment. And it looks as though the new Renault 5 will cost around about 23 to 24,000 US dollars and 30,000 Australian dollars. And for those of you in the UK, around about 18,500 pounds. You heard that right? That pricing comes from Renault. No one made that up. I've just given you the equivalent figures in the different dollar, in the different currencies. So you can see, guys, how even mainstream car manufacturers are going to be bringing out cars very soon, priced very similarly to their petrol and diesel counterparts. Now, guys, if you're anti-EV and you're watching the channel, I know some of you do. I don't know why you bother, but anyhow, there are some of you are out there. Then you've got to remember, EVs, number one, they are far more reliable than petrol and diesel vehicles. Far more reliable. In fact, look at a Tesla service manual. Have a look at it and see what it tells you to do. It tells you basically to change your windscreen wiper fluid. There's almost nothing you need to do, right? Same with other EVs. Very, very minimal. Look at the number of parts in a petrol car. Basically, everything breaks down eventually. I've gone through numerous cars. I'm sure you have. EVs last far longer. It's simply a fact. Running costs. Running an EV is so much cheaper than a petrol, diesel, or for you Americans, a gas-powered vehicle. So much cheaper. It's not even close. It's less than 50% of the running cost you will get back the difference in purchase price. If the difference in purchase price between this Renault and an equivalent ICE-powered vehicle is, say, 20%, you'll get that cost back probably within maybe 12 to 18 months, max. So you're looking at a car that after that point is then cheaper from then on. But remember, it's going to last longer than your petrol car, and it's not going to poison you when you're sitting in idle, drinking the fumes in when your window's down. Guys, honestly, I know that sounds silly, but the truth is there's been numerous studies showing that diesel and petrol causes cancer. And if it doesn't give you cancer, then it actually causes an immune system breakdown. It's just another one of many different things we have in the environment, many different things of foods we eat. Too much sugar causes our immune system to weaken. And it's another reason why not avoid it if you can. If you can avoid it and it's going to cost you less in the long run, why not do it? So there you go, anti-EV people. Just see some sense. Think about logic. Try to remove the emotion. Think about the logic of EVs. Now, Renault is giving you an option. BYD is giving you an option. MG very soon will have their own EV hatch, which will give you the option. All these companies are going to give you the option of having an EV at the same price, but cheaper in the long run than a petrol or diesel car. Now, realistically, how many people do you think really want to buy an inferior vehicle for the same price? Honestly, I don't think there's many. And I've said this before, but I can't say it enough times because there's idiots at every barbecue that are so scared of change. They're so emotional about change. They can't handle the fact that maybe one day they won't be able to burn fossil fuels. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to the Renault 5. Now, the Renault 5 is also known as the CMF BEV, and it has a new platform that will be used for city hatchbacks, classified as light cars in Australia, and it promises to reduce the cost of the vehicles it underpins by 33% versus Renault's sole electric passenger car still on sale, the Zoe hatchback. Now, obviously, Renault are kind of bullshitting here. You can't reduce the cost of a car simply by changing the platform by 33%. That's just mathematically impossible. The real way they're going to change the cost of the car is by reducing the cost of the number one most expensive thing in the car, which is the batteries. Obviously, they're going to use something, probably a lithium iron phosphate battery cell, probably from CATL. More than likely, that's what they'll do to reduce the cost. Remember, basically everything in an EV is coming down in price. There's nothing going up. Everything in an EV is coming down. The more of them you make, the cheaper they become. The same with anything, pretty much. So, what's really happening here is, obviously, the battery market is maturing, EV market is maturing, and Renault's sourcing costs are declining. Now, when the Renault Zoe was last offered around the world and in Australia in 2019, prices started from 50,000 Australian dollars before on-road costs. So, around about 40,000 US dollars. Obviously, it's kind of ridiculously highly priced compared to, say, a Tesla Model 3, making it really uncompetitive. It's just too expensive what they were offering. However, with Renault's new car, obviously they've found a number of ways to reduce the price very significantly. And obviously Renault, I imagine, won't actually make a profit for a little while until they get this car really kind of mass manufactured and they start building hundreds of thousands of those and they're able to amortize the costs. That's going to take them a while. Now remember, in many countries around the world, including the United States and Australia, there are EV subsidies. And it's specifically China as well. In Europe, there's many, many places where you get EV subsidies. Right now, there's a $3,000 electric vehicle incentives that have been introduced in New South Wales and Victoria. And they'll drop the price of this car to being, well below $30,000 Australian dollars. And, in the United States, obviously the price difference is even greater because you're talking a $7,500 US dollar tax credit. That's going to bring the price of an EV like this, you might be looking at 15,000 US dollars. That's insane. That is just, imagine the order book these Renault will have if they're able to bring this out to the United States. So based on what Renault is saying, this is going to make the CMF Renault 5 and the CMF BEV-based vehicles from Renault some of the cheapest EVs on the market. Now, I believe the cheapest EV on the market by either the end of this year or the first quarter of 2022 will be the BYD E-A1 or the BYD Dolphin, as they're now calling it. BYD are now calling it. I'll put some links in the description below so you can have a look at that vehicle. I really love the BYD E-A1, and one of the main reasons is I just love practicality. And it's much smaller than a Toyota Corolla, but the internal dimensions are going to be either the same size or potentially even bigger. And it's a vehicle that's going to be priced at really a price that anyone can afford. And to be honest, I think you'd have to be mental to buy something else other than that if you don't have if you're looking at a similar vehicle, you're looking at a Toyota Corolla, it's clearly a much better vehicle with a new lithium iron phosphate battery that is rated for 10,000 cycles, over 1 million kilometers of range. Very simple car. Sure, there's those of you out there that hate Chinese products. I understand that. But guys, honestly, where do you think every car has a lot of its parts made? There is not a car in the world that doesn't have something in it made in China. There's not. It's just a fact. Tell me one. It doesn't exist as far as I know. I've done a fair bit of research on this and I can't find one. So even if you hate Chinese products, well, you don't have a lot of choice. You just have to suck it up. So anyway, the first vehicle to use Renault's new platform will be the retro-styled Renault 5. And doesn't it look sensational? I absolutely love the look of this car. Apparently, this new Renault 5 will enter production in early 2024 at Renault's new Mega EV City, whatever. It's called Electricity Mega Factory in France. I don't know how you produce that in French. Wouldn't have the first foggiest idea. Maybe that's the English word that they've created for the rest of the world outside of France. But pretty cool they're making this electric city in France. I really like what Renault are doing. Renault are smart. I don't know about the rest of the alliance group they're in to varying degrees, but Renault are definitely on the right track here. Hopefully they can actually speed up the development of this car because, over the next, it's 2021 now, they're talking 2024, that's 3 years away. In that 3 years, guys, it's possible that car companies such as some of these from China could really start to make a huge dent into the market. But still, Renault is definitely on the right track. Now, while the reborn Renault 5 EV has not been confirmed for an Australian or an American launch, its low price combined with recent developments in charging infrastructure, government incentives, and improvements in battery technology and price should help to overcome the market challenges that saw the existing Zoe officially axe from Australian showrooms in 2020. Now, Renault claims that the Renault 5 will enable a maximum driving range of 400 kilometers on Europe's WLTP test cycle, exceeding the 263 kilometer and 270 kilometer figures claimed by Australia's cheapest EVs currently on sale, the MG ZS EV and the Nissan Leaf, which have 40 kilowatt hours respectively. Now, obviously, this is not true at all because to say that a vehicle that's going to be made in 3 years' time is going to have some figure that they know of now it's kind of ridiculous because the truth is Renault have no idea what the battery density will be in 2024 or even what chemistry they're going to be supplied with at that point. Obviously, things will change, but things will change for the better, not for the worse. I think that the range of these vehicles will just continue to improve every year. I think by the time they actually release them, you might be looking at more like 600 kilometers of range, which for this kind of vehicle just completely gets rid of range anxiety. So, like I said, the platform's low price can be attributed to the sharing of parts across a range of different EVs. So the platform's modularity in track widths and wheelbase and battery sizes, along with a new nickel cobalt manganese battery construction also reduces cost. Now, Renault is saying they're going to be using a nickel cobalt manganese battery construction. Personally, based on my research on the battery market over the last month, probably read, 2,000 articles. I think it's highly unlikely they'll actually go with an MCM battery. Much more likely they'll actually go with a lithium iron phosphate battery. It'd be very hard for Renault to compete and to bring the price down this low using NCM chemistry. And it just doesn't actually make sense for this kind of car. It would make sense if it was a premium vehicle in the premium segment, but it's not. So that's what I think. So joining the new 5 will be a reborn version of the classic Renault 4, which apparently will morph into a compact SUV wearing the Forever name, which was leaked in concept form through recent patent filings from Renault, along with a new electric van, which teaser images suggest will be inspired by classic fourgonette versions of the original Renault. Now, isn't it great what car companies are doing in terms of their styling with a lot of their EVs? Initially, we have some wacky vehicles from BMW, made some ugly cars. What are they thinking over at BMW? I don't know. But then you got these cool cars like this Honda EV, which just looks sensational. The Fiat 500e looks great as well. Some of these companies are really making some cool looking EVs. I love what they're doing. Now, if you haven't heard of Alpine, well, performance brand Alpine is kind of a sister brand to Renault. And apparently they'll be making a new hot hatch based on the platform, which teaser images, bottom of story, confirm will be based on the new Renault 5, adding a large rear spoiler, bulged bonnet, and what appear to be rally-inspired fog lights. Now, what is Renault up to here? Well, All of these cars that Renault are developing right now are part of Renault's plan to launch 7 new electric vehicles by 2025. Doesn't sound like many at all, does it? But a lot of companies are saying they're going to release 25 different EVs within 2 years. And this is really just a smokescreen. They're just saying this for maybe their investors or to hoodwink you, because truthfully, they're going to release a bunch of vehicles, but then they say on the other hand, but 70% of our vehicles by 2030 are going to be petrol powered. So what are they really doing? Well, Renault is really very committed, in fact, to EVs. From what I can see, Renault looks to have 90% of its fleet be all electric by 2030, which is a really good plan. They're also looking at manufacturing batteries in the long run in Europe, in France, at their mega EV city. Really good news. I like what Renault's doing. Whether or not they are kind of hamstrung by being a part of the Renault alliance with Nissan and Mitsubishi is yet to be seen. I don't know what's going to happen with that group, but I like what Renault's doing, and I absolutely love this car. What do you think about it, guys? Tell me what you think. What's your opinion of the car? Tell me what's your opinion of Renault. Tell me what's your opinion of people who can't stand EVs and fight against them. Who knows? I don't understand it. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.